What's up, guys? It is that Pan again. I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at some G1, okay? And these are some G1 fights that happened. I will only have one video covering it, as one, I had less footage for. Two, it was a bit more redundant because I feel like the fights weren't like I feel like it was a lot of standstill during this event, right? And three, when a lot of the fights happened, I was probably sleeping, and I feel like their uptime was my downtime. So thankfully, this first minute of footage was for my friend in ROK who sent me this footage. So appreciate you, man. But I'll kind of just hop right into it. So first thing I noticed when checking out the footage they sent me was DHX was really losing in these field fights. And not only that, when they were losing kind of field presence or whatever, I feel like they were just flooding in marches one by one. Like you saw there in it for a minute. Like they had people just kind of flooding in when I feel like if you don't have enough players, like let's say you have 10 marches on the field already, the enemy has 50 marches on the field, you don't want to send one by one marches, right? You're just going to get melted, and you're basically feeding it to the tiger's mouth. You're basically just shoving your arm in there and telling them take a bite, you know what I mean? That being said, we kind of hop right in here, and this is like a speed build towards mid. I will say, there wasn't really much fighting before this. Maybe some field fights over, like, the sanctum or whatever to get these zombie kills and all that. But that was really it. There wasn't really any big fights for, but before this. But basically they build up mid, it's on, everybody's speed building, so they all have this, if you don't know, there's an alliance tech, right, that you can activate that makes your building speed, I think it's either 200% or 300%. I'm not looking right now, but like 200 or 300% faster, meaning that everybody just builds as fast as they can and tries to take up a really good position on mid. And that's basically what DHX tries to do by building in a way that will cut off ROK from connecting to too many towers. And then they also have to handle ANCS on their side, which is really rough since coming into this fight, I had already come to the conclusion that DHX was at a vast disadvantage just because I don't think Azure, at least I didn't think Azure was really going to be much help, which in all fairness, no offense, Azure, but they weren't help at all, right? They obviously didn't really contribute anything to this fight, really. I don't even think they connected to a tower. I think the only time they connected towers was when ROK pushed them. And I was asleep when that happened, so I'm not sure if they actually defended or not. But it was just kind of a bad, I don't even know. It was just bad overall, right? This was kind of a rough situation for them to be faced with. And just alone, even if DHX managed to dislodge, ANCS's Legion or whatever, right? It would still cost them a big amount of it would just cost them a lot of losses. Also, this guy getting rallied right here, he's using Peterson and Raygro. I was kind of odded out by that. Like if he uses, Peterson and something, and at least use like Peterson and Tommy. You see him swap here to Lewis. I actually ended up messaging this dude after the fact, but the Lewis was actually a really big downside since people were just sending one troop marches, and that was reducing the AoE damage, and that meant like the skill damage that he was actually getting off in the rally was very little. And once you see this report, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This dude doesn't get any deads, but his trade ratio was insanely, like, it was just terrible. Like his trades were not worth it at all. I think he could have done really way better if he had, put Tom in his wall, like I said, because I think maybe the double healing could have helped a lot, or just in general, he could have shielded once he got to like yellow or something. I honestly think like it was kind of rough, even at 180 million might. That dude was kind of in a rough spot to take a really good trade on that rally, just because you're taking a rally from someone like Safe Me, right? And Safe Me's armaments are insane. I think his heroes are what, like 5-6 million might. Absolutely massive whales, right? So taking on rallies like that, taking on the stat difference is a pretty tough spot to be in. But you kind of see here, DHX is kind of setting up on mid to get in a really good position. Also, you see the report here. This is insane. Like, obviously, I don't think he got any deads. The deads are probably like reinforcements or something. But those trades there were just not worth it, And I think a big thing of that can be attributed to the fact that he was using Lewis for the main majority of the rally, which just dropped off a lot of his damage since people were using troop, like one troop marches to kind of sponge up the damage and just reduce any damage that was coming on the rally. All right, so now you kind of see ROK and DHX connecting here. They were kind of just trying to get in position to, I guess, set up for the long game, right? And honestly, I expected DHX to be able to hold on longer. And I think what ended up happening, like I'm not 100% sure about this. If anybody from DHX's Legion, which is gold, I guess, is watching this, tell me what happened, right? Like I honestly didn't see a lot of the other alliances, and I'm not sure if I just wasn't like looking enough, because I probably wasn't, but I didn't see a lot of the other alliances here. And I feel like if they were maybe able to kind of contribute more, maybe this would have somehow ended differently, or they maybe would have been able to hold on longer, or they maybe would have been able to hold on more towers. But I feel like DHX was doing most of the brute force, and even then, like, it was kind of expected. It's kind of the same for ROK. Like, you don't expect all the other like smaller alliances to be doing the main like field work or anything. And like I said, I might honestly be wrong. I wasn't like super attentive to the G1 bracket, but I wasn't like seeing a ton of other names or anything, right? I definitely saw a lot more DHX kind of up front doing the main work. So I feel like DHX honestly was just in a really bad spot. And like I said, ANCS was there. And I feel like ANCS themselves, like that Legion, I don't think that Legion would have been able to do much like 1v1, right? Like I think they would have been able to hold their towers fine. And I think that what ended up happening is DHX ended up wanting to dislodge them, which was honestly the best choice, right? They probably wanted to do the most pressure on ANCS's side because they wanted to drop those guys. They wanted to, get rid of that like Legion, get them off their side, and kind of just maybe zero out their bases, get rid of them, and then they could focus on ROK and try to prepare for a really good fight. But ROK was very furious. I think DHX just didn't have the numbers, and I feel like they were just struggling to fight on the field, right? And I noticed something, right, where for example, this is something that I noticed, but Safe Me, for example, I think he swarms this tower right here, and I think this will kind of help me get my point across, right? But basically, the issue is no matter how good one player is or how strong one player is, for example, I think everybody knows Safe Me is one of the strongest players. At least, he is the strongest might-wise, and he has some of the best armaments in the game, but he has nobody helping him over here. You see this? Like, nobody was on the field, nobody's helping him on the field, and even if he wants to swarm this tower, do some, really good damage to this tower, what can he do? His marches are just getting swarmed from the side. Like, it doesn't matter how strong one player is. It doesn't matter how many hundreds of millions of troops he's willing to lose on a tower. If he's getting his marches swarmed like this, he's not able to actually end up swarming the tower because his marches are just getting like obliterated, right? And it kind of cripples him, and it makes him incapable of doing the kind of work that maybe he wants to be able to do and put in on this tower. So just in general, that's kind of something I noticed. Like you can be a trillion might, but you're only one player, right? If you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dudes holding you down, swarming your marches when you try to swarm a tower, and you can't really do anything there, and you don't have anybody backing you up, anybody helping you on the field, it's kind of rough. And I think that's a situation that DHX was kind of faced with, where they maybe had a lot of players start draining out, and they were kind of unable to do as much as like ROK was doing. And honestly, I expected this to be kind of more even on the field, but ROK was extremely dominant. They were really helping when like Red, I forget what, Crimson, right? Crimson over here is getting a lot of like their towers rallied and stuff. ROK just comes in, swarms the rally down, swarms the field down. They just do insane work. And I think this made it almost impossible for DHX to really do anything. And I think that's why you kind of see DHX just start turtling down. I think that was kind of the end of my footage from like the first day or two, right? Because there wasn't really much else that ended up happening. I think I think Jade just kind of stopped putting in work, and actually, sorry, they're gold, right? I said Jade. I don't know why. But I feel like gold, which is, DHX's group, kind of stopped putting in as much work on towers. I think they just understood that they were kind of incapable of doing a big push. This might have been a big morale drop because I think when it came to ruins and stuff, they just didn't go for it, right? They didn't go for the sanctum or anything. They just gave it up. And then you see here, it's kind of just a tower defense the whole time. They kind of just turtled down. And I honestly stand by this. I think that they were just I feel like they might have just been discouraged. And then this might have just ruined the mood, might have just made them unwilling to kind of put up a really good fight here. And it's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. And, can you blame them? It was just kind of sad. Either way, I think that this was a really good watch and a really good fight. I honestly expected more though, but then again, it's like, can you blame a group like this? I feel like this happens a lot, especially in whale brackets. You'll see a lot of work being put up, right, by these teams. You'll see them putting insane work in the start with like rallies and stuff. And I think they always think, oh, maybe this is like, this is prime time to put in damage. Maybe I can break them. And then once you realize, yeah, these guys aren't budging. These guys are just going to be holding for the next few hours, even if I keep trying. And there's just really no hope of me making this push. I think it kind of becomes well, I'll kind of turtle down because, defensive is kind of better, right? Like you're kind of better off as a defensive team just because your death to like injure ratio trades are much better than your enemies. But in like DHX's case, I think they were kind of struggling with how many towers were getting pressured and stuff. And I can't imagine that their trades were very good. I think they were just kind of put in a really rough spot. And I don't know if you guys know, but they didn't even try to make a push for Sanctum. They just let the other teams have it, which honestly don't blame them because it would have just been a really hard fight over it. And I think holding it in general would have been really hard with just the amount of field work that like ROK had been putting up the whole event. And I think DHX, like I said, was kind of broken in their morale. And if they really wanted to do big pushes, I just don't think it would have been very possible. And even if they managed to get the flip of the coin capture on the Sanctum, right? Like it's kind of a flip of the coin for you to get that capture. Even if they got the capture, I just don't imagine that they would have been like capable of holding that thing. I just don't think that they would have been able to put up enough field work for a complete day, plus take on sieges on potentially all their towers, right? And I think the fact that they didn't get Sanctum also hurt them because the second that happened, ROK was able to just do double rallies on these towers that were connected to the Sanctum, right? With ANCS and all that. So it was like, what the heck are we supposed to do? And I mean, you see the reports here. I'm sure that ROK had some disgusting reports on them. I didn't actually get any reports from ROK's side, I don't think, which was really unfortunate because I definitely think that those would have been some disgusting reports. I feel like nobody wanted to send me reports, man. I was begging for them. Thankfully, DHX sent me a few. Um, you know. And honestly, that was like the main just storyline, right? Like there wasn't really a lot to kind of commentate on here. I think just the situation they were faced with. And I mean, even here, you see in this image, I don't see any other alliances, right? Like, I don't know if the alliances just I don't know, man. Like I know I'm not trying to like slander these groups and be like, yeah, nobody helped them. It was only DHX because I'm sure these groups did help, like or at least a portion of them. But I just don't really see much, right? Like I don't see them defending these towers. I don't see them surrounding the towers. I don't see them ported up. And I'm not sure if like DHX kind of asked them not to or what. Like I don't see it here, for example. I just don't see any other alliances really coming in to help. And I think if that's the case, that might have been a big issue for them, like because I think now meta, no matter how strong your group is, right? Like if you're Boone and HMB, right, and you're both fighting each other, no matter how strong one or the other group is, if one group has three alliances that are willing to fight and the other has three alliances that are like, no, we're gonna stay home and farm. Well, you know who's probably going to win because that team has more people to join rallies, more alliances to actually send rallies. So if like, you have other alliances in your legion, you want sending rallies, those alliances are willing to send rallies and more people to just willing to fill and throw their troops away. And it's like, when it becomes a game of endurance, it's basically impossible to like win against a team, that has more active alliances and more active fighters, no matter how good one group is versus the other, no matter if like, this alliance is better than the other alliance, that's not really what really matters anymore in Island, right? It matters how good your legion is, how good your coordination is, how good your just everybody working together is. I will say I actually did see some in M49 kind of helping and even 59E or whatever. I just don't think they were able to like do a lot of work. And I think that's kind of the issue with being put into these well brackets. I don't think they're able to even contribute a lot, even if they want to, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, now you see some, okay? Now you see some of them sitting around, but I don't know, man. I just think that this was kind of a rough bracket. The trades on this tower here are disgusting. Bad garrison captain. I mean, you see Victor and Lee. Like, Victor makes sense. Lee, I'm not so sure. And I'm sure the garrison captain was kind of I'm assuming on the weaker end. Just honestly, unfortunate circumstances. GG to everybody. I think I might end off my video there. I didn't get like any footage of them getting pushed back. I think I woke up or something too late. I didn't get any footage of them being pushed back to their checkpoint or anything. But I will show like kind of the aftermath of everything on my at the end of the video. I do appreciate you guys as always for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope I, kind of just got you guys an entertaining video, okay? You guys have a great day or night though, and I will see you guys in the next video, and that is it. Peace out.